Good evening, it's Friday the 1st of August and here's what's making news around the world on World News Tonight. Trade policy. New US tariffs on global trade partners including South Korea. Medical scandal. Families demand accountability after contaminated fentanyl claims. Swamp drama. Florida woman uses shoes to fend off alligator attempting to hunt.
From Studio 24C, here's Amasha Fernando.
Good evening once again. US President Donald Trump signed an executive order today implementing new reciprocal tariffs, yet reducing South Korea's levy from 25% to 15%. Additional tariffs on steel, aluminum, and copper remain unchanged. President Lee Jae-myung is slated to visit the White House within 2 weeks to formalize details.
U.S. President Donald Trump on Thursday local time signed an executive order for the new reciprocal tariffs that take effect on August 1st.
But I do know that the trade team has been working around the clock to try to be in correspondence with as many countries as possible. But if they haven't heard from us yet, they will in the form of a letter or an executive order by midnight tonight.
South Korea on Wednesday secured a last-minute deal to lower the reciprocal tariff from 25% to 15%. White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said the agreement allows significant investment for the U.S. and historic market access to American goods.
And South Korea will pay a 15% tariff rate, including 15% on autos, while providing historic market access to American goods like autos and rice. Korea will purchase $100 billion in American energy by 2028. And the centerpiece of this deal is that South Korea has agreed to invest $350 billion at the president's direction to revitalize American industry.
Besant said South Korea was a special case because they had an election, a new government. So they were not in the position to fully negotiate. And they presented a very good offer. President Trump moved the offer up a bit, and we reached a very good agreement. On the same day, the White House posted a photo of President Trump with the South Korean U.S. trade delegation to social media, where it called the deal historic. Trump also took to social media to say details on South Korea's investments will be formalized during a visit to the White House by President Lee Jae-myung, set to take place in the next 2 weeks.
The U.S. has announced visa bans targeting officials from the Palestinian Authority and Palestine Liberation Organization over alleged support for terrorism and efforts to internationalize the Israeli-Palestine conflict. The move sharply contrasts with European momentum towards recognizing Palestinian statehood.
The United States on Thursday imposed sanctions on Palestinian Authority officials and members of the Palestine Liberation Organization, accusing the groups of undermining peace efforts. Representatives for the PA and the PLO could not immediately be reached for comment. The U.S. move highlights a widening diplomatic divide as other nations push for a resolution to the war in Gaza that would empower the Palestinian Authority.
The kingdom's position has always been that the Palestinian Authority are the only legitimate representative of the Palestinian people.
Earlier this week, Saudi Arabia and France called on countries at the United Nations to support a declaration aimed at implementing a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians. Here's Saudi Foreign Minister Faisal bin Farhan Al Saud.
I would hope that we will all work to reinforce the Palestinian Authority and its capacity and capability. Thank you.
Qatar and Egypt, which are mediating current ceasefire efforts, backed the declaration. The declaration also included condemnation by Arab states of the Hamas Islamist militant group that had governed Gaza and whose fighters led the surprise October 2023 attack that prompted Israel to launch its devastating military campaign. Israel faces growing world pressure over the war in Gaza, and several Western powers, including France, Britain, and Canada, have said they will or may recognize a Palestinian state.
This intention is predicated on the Palestinian Authority's commitment to much-needed reform.
Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney on Wednesday echoed earlier language from British leader Keir Starmer.
Our message to the terrorists of Hamas is unchanged and unequivocal.
That Hamas could play no role in an independent Palestine. Israel and the United States, Israel's closest ally, have rejected moves to recognize Palestinian statehood or support a two-state solution. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has said the PA will play no role in governing Gaza when fighting concludes.
And we will ensure that Gaza never again poses a threat to Israel.
The Palestinian Authority was established in the 1990s as part of what is known as the Oslo Accords, which granted the PA limited governance in certain areas of the Israeli-occupied West Bank and Gaza. Hamas is a rival to the Palestinian Authority and seized control of Gaza in 2007. The U.S. sanctions come as Washington's Special Envoy Steve Witkoff arrived in Israel on Thursday in a bid to revive Gaza's ceasefire talks and tackle a humanitarian crisis in the Palestinian enclave.
A Pakistani anti-terrorism court has sentenced 108 members of Imran Khan's Pakistan Tehreek-e-Insaf, including lawmakers Omar Ayub Khan and Shibli Faraz, to prison for roles in May 9, 2023 riots targeting military sites. Sentences range from 1 to 10 years, with 77 acquitted, sparking PTI plans for protests on August 5th.
An anti-terrorism court in Faisalabad, Pakistan, delivered a verdict yesterday sentencing 108 PTI members and officials for inciting and participating in violent attacks on military installations and government property during the nationwide protests on May 9, 2023. Among those convicted are prominent PTI figures including National Assembly leader Omar Ayub Khan and Senator leader Shibli Faraz, each receiving 10-year prison sentences. The remaining defendants received terms ranging from 1 to 3 years. Prosecutors asserted the evidence was without a shadow of doubt, according to court documents. The unrest followed the arrest of former Prime Minister Imran Khan, triggering nationwide demonstrations in which protests escalated into attacks on military bases, including Rawalpindi's army headquarters and the Corps Commander House in Lahore, as well as state facilities like the Intelligence Agency office in Faisalabad. The ruling marks the third major mass conviction in July alone, and 77 individuals were acquitted due to insufficient evidence. These verdicts further undermine PTI's influence in parliament and directly impact its leadership ranks. PTI leaders have vowed legal appeals and plan renewed protests starting on August 5th, coinciding with the second anniversary of Khan's imprisonment.
Seoul endured 22 consecutive tropical nights in July, the highest July count since records began in 1907, with overnight temperatures consistently about 25 degrees Celsius and hitting a record low of 29.3 degrees Celsius. Officials warn the heat wave may persist.
Seoul's summer nights continue to stay hot and longer than usual. At least 22 tropical nights were recorded in Seoul this July. That's the longest period for the month in 117 years, since related data first began to be compiled in 1908. A tropical night refers to when the overnight low, between 6 p.m. and 9 a.m. the next day, does not drop below 25 degrees Celsius. The previous record for the longest stretch of tropical nights in July was set in 1994 with 21. But with one more day left till August in Korea, this year's record may climb further. Adding to the heat, Seoul also logged its highest ever overnight low for July on Wednesday into Thursday at 29.3 degrees. The previous was 29.2 degrees 7 years ago, according to the Korea Meteorological Administration.
The Tibetan and North Pacific high-pressure systems have overlapped over Korea, trapping heat in the atmosphere. Hot, humid air from the south is also being drawn in, while intense sunlight continues, making scorching days and tropical nights persist.
Asked whether this trend may continue due to climate change, the KMA said it's hard to predict, as tropical nights are largely driven by variables, including complex pressure patterns in the atmosphere. Still, the weather agency forecasts tropical nights to continue for the time being, although some rain is expected after August 6. The authorities are advising people to take precautions against heat-related illnesses, including keeping indoor temperatures and humidity moderate, ensuring proper ventilation, staying hydrated, and doing light exercises before bed for a good night's sleep.
Let's go in for a short commercial break. More world news coming right after this. And welcome back. Russia claims it has captured the eastern Ukrainian town of Chasiv Yar after nearly 16 months of fighting, asserting strategic gains despite Ukrainian denials and conflicting open-source data. Analysts warn escalations may persist in nearby areas like Pokrovsk.
Chasiv Yar, a hilly town west of Bakhmut in Ukraine's Donetsk Oblast, has been a focal point of protracted combat since April 2024. Serving as a fortified hub for Ukrainian artillery and defensive operations, it saw Russia capturing most of it by early 2025, with about 90% under occupation by February. The remaining portions, including the Canal microdistrict, remained contested. Analysts view its losses potentially opening routes towards Krostyanivka, Sloviansk, and Kramatorsk, key cities in eastern Ukraine. Russia's defense ministry announced the town's full liberation, releasing video footage yesterday showing troops raising the Russian flag among ruins. Ukraine's President Zelensky rejected the claim as disinformation, while Ukrainian open-source trackers and military spokespersons reported ongoing fierce battles near Pokrovsk and disputed full Russian control over Chasiv Yar. Military analyst Emil Kastahelmi noted the town's terrain, forest, hills, waterways, and dense building stock favored defenders, leading to only incremental Russian gains over 16 months. The asserted capture, if confirmed, could enable closer drone operations and logistical advances towards Ukraine's supply lines, but the terrain and sustained resistance suggest progress may remain slow. Meanwhile, Kyiv's forces continue to repel incursions, particularly around Pokrovsk.
El Salvador's Congress approved sweeping constitutional reforms allowing indefinite presidential re-election, extending presidential terms from 5 to 6 years and eliminating runoff elections. The changes also sink all elections in 2027, extending President Bukele's political influence sharply.
Legislative seats reforms passed by vote of 57 to 3. The package legalizes indefinite presidential re-election, extends each term to 6 years, removes a requirement for a runoff if no candidate wins a majority, and shifts the current term's end to 2027, so presidential, legislative, and municipal elections coincide. Bukele's second consecutive term, won in 2024 with 84% of the vote, was made possible by a 2021 Supreme Court ruling made by judges appointed by his party, declaring re-election a constitutional right despite prior prohibitions. Critics argue both that ruling and the current reforms bypass democratic norms by weakening constitutional checks. Opposition legislators including Marcela Villatoro and Claudia Ortiz condemned the vote as a death of democracy, warning of power centralization. International critics including human rights group Cristosul labeled the overhaul a slide towards authoritarianism akin to Venezuela. Supporters counter the reform and empower citizens to decide officials' tenure across levels.
Families of patients who died after receiving contaminated medical fentanyl marched in Buenos Aires demanding justice at Hospital Italiano, where 18 victims had been treated. The deaths spurred national health bans, lab suspensions, and a federal criminal investigation.
The scandal began in early May when patients at Hospital Italiano in La Plata and other facilities in Buenos Aires province and Santa Fe developed severe antibiotic-resistant pneumonia. Authorities traced the infections to batches of fentanyl HLB, fentanyl citrate. Lab analysts confirmed strains of Klebsiella pneumoniae and Ralstonia piquetii in both patients and the medication itself. Initially, at least 14 deaths were confirmed, with more cases soon emerging. By late May, 54 confirmed patients and a total of 66 suspected cases had been reported. Argentina's drug regulator ANMAT immediately banned distribution and used the affected fentanyl and suspended operations at implicated production labs, including HLB Pharma Group and Laboratorios Ramallo. A federal judge in La Plata, Ernesto Kreplak, initiated criminal proceedings, ordering seizures of lab facilities and distribution centers. At least 47 deaths and 87 confirmed infections have been linked to the contaminated lots, with investigations into broader distribution still underway. Bereaved families carried photographs of their loved ones and protested at Hospital Italiano, calling on officials to take action. The Minister of Health ordered suspension of laboratory operations and strengthened oversight of medical supply chains. As prosecutors collect patient data and evidence, ANMAT continues to coordinate recalls across multiple provinces. The government aims to address safety gaps and prevent recurrent healthcare tragedies.
Ahead of his visit to Israel, German Foreign Minister Johann Wadephul called for negotiations towards a two-state solution to begin immediately, emphasizing that recognition of Palestinian statehood should come only after talks conclude, warning Germany would respond to unilateral annexation moves.
Wadephul reiterated Germany's commitment to achieving peace through a negotiated two-state solution, asserting that recognition of Palestine should follow, not precede formal talks. However, he insisted the recognition process must begin now, signaling urgency amid escalating diplomacy. Germany also warned it would react to unilateral annexation moves by Israeli officers, citing annexation threats as a major concern. Wadiful issued the remarks while departing on a fact-finding mission. To Israel and the Palestinian territories at a time when Britain, France, Canada, and others are openly considering recognizing Palestinian statehood during the UN General Assembly in September. Germany's stance stands in contrast to Western peers, opting for cautious diplomacy while still condemning settlement expansion and calling for humanitarian relief in Gaza. Wadiful underscored Germany's special responsibility due to its Holocaust legacy and reaffirmed its support for humanitarian efforts in Gaza, calling Israel to facilitate aid access while affirming Israel's right to self-defense. He stressed Germany may re-evaluate arms sales if actions violate international law. Despite backing Israel traditionally, Germany is stepping up criticism amid mounting humanitarian concerns and regional instability.
Time for a short commercial break now. We'll be right back with more world news. And welcome back. In Kissimmee, Florida, a woman's attempt to shoo away an alligator with a thrown shoe backfired when the reptile grabbed one and scampered into the water. The incident captured on video went viral, highlighting wildlife risks near residential areas.
A herd of deer is munching away, but they're not the only ones ready for a meal. A slithering gator is lurking. The cunning reptile makes his move.
Here he goes, he's on the move. He's really moving now.
Then, out of nowhere, a white shoe flies through the air. Seconds later, another shoe. The homeowner has joined the fight, and she's on Team Deer. The fearless lady emerges, and this time she's aiming for a direct hit.
No.
Not so fast.
That serves her right, throwing the shoe in.
Here's hoping that gator enjoys a tough piece of leather for lunch.
Over the course of a single unforgettable morning at Hallas Hall, Chicago Bears coach Ben Johnson introduced Liam at the team huddle. Liam shared his personal story of facing 5 heart surgeries before turning 13 and then led the team in a unified family on 3 chant.
1, 2, 3, family! On a football field where dreams are chased.
John, you need to come hang out with the quarterbacks, man.
Caleb, nice to meet you, boss.
An Indiana farm boy's dream waits. 13-year-old Liam Woodworth, surprised by his favorite team, the Chicago Bears.
They're like the underdog. I was born with 3 heart chambers instead of 4.
Liam's first surgery, 11 days after he was born. 5 operations, including 3 open heart surgeries.
They call it half a heart. He has the biggest heart.
It's that grit that landed him on the team's roster, signing a 1-day ceremonial contract.
There we go. Congrats, bud.
Thank you.
If you think today was hard, try living one day in this man's life.
It just made me proud to feel
Liam, break us down, man.
A Bear for a day with memories for life.
Family on 3. 1, 2, 3,
family!
And with that, we come to the end of today's edition of World News Tonight. With the hopes of seeing you again, I'm Amasha Fernando, and we leave you tonight with the visuals of an artist carving tree roots to preserve culture. Also, don't forget to send us your feedback through email at feedback.ad24english@derana.lk or via WhatsApp at 076-805-7933. Jenna Newman will be joining you next with the Nightly Business Report. Until then, thank you for watching and have a great night.